Hey, greetings, people. I thought that I would try today to talk a little bit about the different kinds of conscious awareness and maybe different degrees of conscious awareness. And I think I'm going to see if I can't talk about it, but then use some direct examples. And there are some very trivial, I think, everyday kinds of senses where we're not explicitly aware of something, or let me say it this way, we're not explicitly conscious of something, but there is a horizon of awareness that could suddenly be turned to and recognized that it was being registered. So it seems like there are various levels that we would have to address in order to get at conscious experience. And so, a couple of really quick examples, just as an illustration of that, is suddenly if I say to you, think for a moment about the way that your feet feel on the ground or on the floor beneath you. Suddenly you turn your awareness there. Or suddenly I say, how does your rear feel in the chair? Or how do your clothes feel on you? At each moment, you turn conscious attention to what was there at a level of awareness, but not thematically explored. And I don't want to get to those. I mean, those I think, are sort of everyday and pedestrian, and I'm going to call them somewhat trivial examples. I think there are much more profound examples, or if not profound, much more interesting and complex examples where it seems as if the processes themselves by which consciousness achieves itself are drifting in and out of conscious awareness. Now, I mean, we can see this in a very simple case of when you're trying to proofread. Do you ever notice when you're trying to proofread, you drift back and forth between looking at the actual letters and attending from the letters to what the words are about? And what happens is the writing itself becomes somewhat transparent to your awareness when you're too attentively focused on the meaning, and because of that, overlooked typos slip into the text. That is, proofreading your own work is very difficult because so much of what you bring to it. Now, again, that again, I think, again, is somewhat pedestrian, but it starts to raise interesting questions of the degree to which we're conscious of the processes by which consciousness does what it does. And I wanted to give some examples here. One of the videos that I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to post a link to this was called The Science of Consciousness by David Chalmers. And I'm going to, please stop the video right now and check out that video, okay? And watch that video. Okay, hopefully you've watched that video. And what I want to talk about is please, if you haven't seen his video, don't go any further. Make sure you watch that video. Okay, so you watch the video, and the role of hand gestures, right? I mean, now that you've seen it, hopefully you've noticed it as well. But in that video, it really stands out that the hand gestures are part of the way that we achieve articulate thought. I mean, I think there is a sense in which, like right now, I'm to you, I may be trying to gesture and I'm trying to put things together in certain ways, and I may really be trying to explicitly convey an idea in this, but not all gestures are used socially to convey with another. Oftentimes, they pre-thematically operate within our bodies, and it's like the gestures themselves are part of a whole gesticulating body struggling to articulate what is more than just sayable. It's like there's a horizon of understanding that it so surpasses what could be said that your body it wiggles and writhes, and it struggles to come to articulate it in the right way. But it's not just with words. I mean, and I think unless we call attention to it, oftentimes it passes really without our conscious awareness. This is why I think partly people want to be skeptical of some artificial intelligence, because it seems like the kind of intelligence that we have, or our conscious experience of thought, of articulate thought in particular, it's a struggling toward meaning that involves the whole body. Even if we're not always consciously aware of that body, we can suddenly turn awareness to what was there. I'll give you another this is a somewhat funny example. This happened to me, many years ago. This guy was telling a story, and I've heard it now more than once, so I'm not sure if he was telling the truth, but I know that he was in the Army, and he was telling some story about how when he had just got back from the Army, he was at Thanksgiving dinner, and he says to his mom, "Hey, Mom, can you pass the fucking potatoes?" And she said, "David, watch your mouth." And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, pass the fucking potatoes, please." And it really, it was a sort of funny moment. We were sort of talking about how you swear so often in the military that at a certain point you're no longer aware of the swearing in your language. So I think this is sometimes partly what a dog is attuned to when it hears you talking. The dog not only is attuned to all of your nonverbals of, are you getting dressed? Do you look like you're going to be going outside? Is the beginning of leave-taking behavior? Is it happening? But even before the initiation of that, you may be using words like go, and you didn't even notice that you were saying the word. And so the dog seems to have this kind of radar, but it's partly because it really is attuned to those things like the gestures and some of those aspects in the language. I think this is also partly why in certain forms of debate anyway, the study of etymology and word roots and word origins can be so powerful, right? Because people always are saying more and less than they realize, because there is a kind of depth to the terms which are more than just theirs. I mean, we employ a language of which we can't be fully consciously aware of all of the language while we're employing it. And a lot of times there's repressed histories there, and people don't they don't fully consciously realize they're invoking them. Like I see it all the time here on YouTube. People use the word creature, and it's among the atheist community. I've heard tons of people in the atheist community use the word creature, and the word creature really is a creationist term. It means created. It's not the same as organism or animal. So I think there really are, and very similarly, I've heard many people say, "Oh my God," and they use the expression "Oh my God" without realizing that they're saying it. So I think part of the question about consciousness is what must consciousness be such that we have varying degrees of awareness of consciousness, and not just a kind of ongoing horizon of different layers to which we can be more or less attentively attuned, but all of those aspects even within the way it functions. I mean, the functioning itself, not those things just on the periphery, but those things which make it able to do partly what it's able to do, those themselves aren't necessarily explicitly subject to conscious awareness. Well, anyway, those are some thoughts. Okay, thanks.